Hey y'all, dedicated father here. I wanted to come on. I'm actually gonna make two videos today, so I'm gonna do a short that's gonna have a little clip to say to come to watch this. So I hope I have a ton of people that watch my shorts. However, oh well, as long as it doesn't get suppressed. Made one last night, had 0 views, and I'm usually 500 to 8,000 depending on the video. But that says a lot right there. But I I'm hoping that some will come over and watch this. My shorts are generally all biblical. My videos are more towards parenting and such. Train passing town, sorry y'all. But I wanted to come on. We have obviously today big day in our history in our world. No matter what we believe on it, as far as the theories that are going on, as far as how those towers came down or what was behind it or the evil behind it. Nonetheless, it's evil in general. However, it doesn't mean no matter the rhyme, reason, or who's behind it, we don't need to be trying to forget that. We don't need to be putting it out of our memory. We don't need to be um, politicizing. I'm just trying to think of right words here, but politicizing this. And when I stop and think about that, it just even that day, that's the day that the world stopped turning, right? The day that we will never forget, those of us that were old enough. And there's certain things that will always remind us of it. We do, whether it be prayer walks or our fire department, we do a walk around the lake, 4 laps. It's about 1.4 miles, I think, 1.2, 1.4 per lap. And it's one in full gear. Well, most of us stay in there. Everyone starts in their gear, some finish in their gear. But the whole point of it is to honor each plane, not just each tower. You got the Pentagon, you got that Pennsylvania field of all those brave men and women. But there's also the side of it that we just cannot forget what is going on. There's a lesson I learned in church a long time ago. Forgiving and forgetting are two different things. We're taught to forgive. We're supposed to forgive, but it does not mean we forget. Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And that's been said by many people. However, I'm not sure the original person who said that, so I'm not going to try to put the quote to it. I had a teacher one time that left that on the board the entire year. Didn't ever talked about it. Anytime someone asked about it, he's like, "I will talk later about it." And the last day of school, he said, "Y'all have one. There's one thing you got to do today." And we're like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I think it was junior year. And he wiped that off the board and said, "Can anyone tell me?" But that was before we got in there. "Can anyone tell me what it you say right there on the top of that board?" And he never taught it, but I remembered it. And keep in mind, I was not a great student. I love learning that stuff now, but at that time, I wanted to get out of school and go to work. That was my thing. Like I got to provide. I got to go. So I've always stuck with that because it's so true. They try to, no matter what side you're on, they try to just make you forget about everything that's happened, and then they just do it to you again. And that's what we need to remember is that fear puts into place every year. Oh my gosh, could it happen again? Yada, 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 yada. Whatever. That's not what I mean by, could it happen again? I'm talking about the control aspect of things and letting our guard down and not, let's say, not honoring those families that gave it all. We have the 343, the firefighters, right? 343 firefighters that day. You have all those police officers and those Port Authority officers, which were also police officers, just different jurisdiction, how they play it out there in New York. All the military servicemen and women that have been killed since then because of that. Again, whoever's at the bottom of it, there's a lot of blood on their hands. And we just have to remember that. I was going to do a stair climb years ago, never got to do that stair climb, but I was doing it in honor of someone. And so in place, I've made sure, other than this year, I had forgotten it. And I was so mad at myself. But every year since, I've made sure to carry this with me for every time I've done anything when it came to 9/11. And so this was sent to me from an engine and ladder that had gone down that day in one of their departments. Obviously, they had to completely rebuild their staff, all that. But to Hell's Kitchen, engine 34, ladder 21, right? Yeah. Inch 34, ladder 21. I still appreciate y'all if anyone sees this. We just got to remember that people are still dealing with those pains. People are still dealing with the ailments, the ones that didn't die, from running in there, and civilians too, running in and trying to help into that rubble and pull people out and all of that. They're still dealing with, they could have never smoked and lick of nothing in their life and dealing with breathing issues. I mean, we cannot forget how much pain this world has gone through because of that day. And it is still being politicized and junk on TV. I had to turn TV off today. I was getting so mad because there was actually very little talked about 9/11, and it was all talked about that debate last night. Which, it's a joke that they're doing that in the first place. Last night's was a joke too. But now then suddenly everyone wants to hop on stage and give a speech, right, on both sides of the aisle about everything, and then it'll go right back to the debate again. It's like, God, we're every year we're just knocking it down a notch, not even getting talked about like it should. There's some news channels that don't even talk about it at all. Some schools that don't even teach it. Just sad, y'all. We cannot let our kids we can't let our kids go on life not knowing these aspects of the past. I never took into how important it was because it wasn't pressed into me, and I'm so mad that it wasn't. And Mr. Sylvie tried to. I was too late in my life. I just didn't care enough. I wanted to, once again, get out of there and go to work. But there's so many wars that I wish I would have known more details about. Vietnam, never should have been there. There's so much tactics in there. There's so much things that should have been, war crimes that happened. And then how our men and women in service were treated when they came home versus now someone can go in and no disrespect, but could go in and enlist and go to South Carolina or North Carolina for 4 years and get out and be hailed as a hero. Now they're doing important things. I get that. But my grandpa comes back from Vietnam and gets pissed on when he walks off a plane. That's jacked up. So there's so many things in this world we got to make sure we don't let our kids forget. And I get on a tangent on this and I get fired up over this. I'm trying to stay calm on it. And it just for someone who wasn't in the service, for me to get that mad about it, I can only imagine brothers and sisters that went through that. I even, every year I wear something in place of it. And this shirt, I don't know if you can, it's probably backwards on there, but so this was a 9-line from their Patriot Club. This was one of their shirts that they'd done on 9/11 or the month of September that they had sent out. So every year we should be making sure that it's in people's faces. Just as I always kind of rep certain things like that. That says, make tyrants fear the people again. Got to remember the government works for us. We're not under them. But it's the same thing as our not forgetting what's going on. What's happened in the world in the past, what will happen again if we let it. Make sure we're pushing that in our kids' head and just put God first. I mean, we got to make sure that our kids understand there is a plan. We may not understand it. We may question it like crazy. But God does have a plan. Put our faith where it belongs. Keep things in our memory that should be there. Once again, go back to the Bible. It tells us, it teaches us past, it teaches us prophecy, and yet we still choose to ignore it. Once again, if you do not remember the past, you are condemned to repeat it. And that is proven over and over and over again. The housing market, in stock market, and I mean, go through all these things that we just sit there and beat our head against the wall and expect different results. It's crazy, y'all. On that, I'm pushing on one of my longest videos I've ever done, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that off now before I go on more of a tangent. I love y'all. Thank you to anyone new that's watching this. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff. But I appreciate y'all very much. Be strong, raise them right.